Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we have something special. We're going to be checking out the Nightlords by Baldermort. This is all lore. It's kind of in honor of Halloween. Somebody suggested it on the previous video. So today we're going to check it out. I'm excited about this. I've had a lot of requests for Baldermort's to react to Bauldermort's content, and I just haven't gotten to do that yet. So today is the day. Nightlords, obviously very scary, freaky, not exactly nice guys, but what can you expect from chaos? So anyway, let's get into it. So far,
Fun. So much fun. Since the Kickerticks opened, it has been never-ending fun. The spoiler broke the borders, opened the gates of heaven, and now we can to and fro with impunity. The corpse gods' men are former brothers. They cannot defend everywhere, cannot be everywhere. So we hunt. We hunt like we have never been able to hunt in a very long time. What is time to an immortal? I digress. So, my warband and I have found a world ready for the plucking, a juicy herd of ape things to play with, and oh, how we have been playing.
What is going on? Okay, so first he mentioned that the despoiler opened heaven. Pretty sure that's the warp. That sounds horrible. The way he's making this sound is like, I like that voice. That voice is so good. Wow. Okay, we just got to keep going. That was ape things to play with. That's what you think of humanity? Okay.
It has all been work for me, not enough play. Destroying their defenses, corralling their meager defenders, breaking them. My boys are too enamored with playing. They forget how hard I have to work to make them do the things that are required for us all to have uninterrupted play. But that has now finally been achieved. The threats all removed. Now we feast. Now we play. This hive has now fallen, as the corpse god's minions and lickspittles would lament. We control its light, its heat, its every road, its every access point. Time to turn off the lights. Time to cover it with our cowl. The dark, the blessed dark. It brings out the best in the herd. My part is done. The playground is prepared. Time for us all to have some fun. Not just my boys. No, now it is my turn. I cannot neglect my duties, my role, my rule must always be maintained. I must watch my boys and make sure they are loyal, or I will be the one to be played with as I did my old master. He should not have lowered his guard. He should not have lowered his guard. Weak, he was weak, so he became my toy. But now I have them all playing. I have them all playing, so I can sneak in a bit of fun myself. Drat, I will only get 48 hours at a push. Is it time enough? Is it enough time? I think so. I have become so very good at what I do. I make friends. I can do this in time. Yes, I can. I can do this. But it must be a special friend. A friend worthy of the knowing. For I must know them inside and out. Oh yes, a new friend. But whom? As the ape things run hither and thither, I set to choosing. So much choice. As they run from the explosions, as they flee into our sentry guns and get cut down, I laugh. I laugh.
Okay. We have to pause there for a second. That voice is amazing. The way he's sounding, so like just unhinged and sadistic. He can't wait to get in there and start playing with all the ape things. Like, that's scary. That is like how unhinged he sounds while he's, acting this out. Um, Jeez. And like he was saying how he cut down his former master because he let his guard down and he's not going to do the same thing again. This is like, whoa, this is cool. I really like this.
They are so amusing. We set off alerts, evacuation orders. At first they did not run, so we leveled a few hab blocks. Now they run into our guns, run into our clutches. My pretty birds fall on them and take their pick, dragging them into our home, the darkness, flying like pretty birds and snatching one here, one there, taking them back to a nest ready for the fun. I have one already set up. When we first pushed into the hive, I found it and prepared it. I must find my friend and get them there. Some, like the big ones, they think that they will last longer, and will be able to keep up for longer. I know this is not true. The big ones have always been big. It means they have less to tell me. They have less to define themselves outside of their being big. Boring. Our newest initiates often like the small ones, the little ones. They have more fire. They've had to be more snappy to get by. But this is often a facade. When you get past the gnashing of teeth and squealing and shouting, the little ones are just little. They offer a certain titillation, the wrongness of it, to the newest initiates. But this is Mother First Stage. Doing things because they were wrong is passé. I tired of it centuries, millennia ago. Now, I need a good friend, an interesting friend, a friend worth knowing. Yes, a friend worth knowing. Amongst the wailing crowds, I see two candidates. Medium size, wiry, fast. Let us see. The sentry guns open up as the throng turns the corner, fleeing another slowly slumping hammer block. Controlled explosions designed to permit the inhabitants to run. The first rank of ape things are torn apart by bolt sentries, exploding like fountains. All the flock attempt to turn away, but the back of the flock still surges forward.
Oh my gosh. So this is detailing, which I'm sure most of you already know. This is detailing going through the Nightlords descending upon a planet and how they just strike fear into every facet of that particular hive and or planet, just so they can get that feeling, that rush, because these guys are messed up. They took that complete wrong turn from what Konrad Curze, because he hated this kind of stuff. He hated the criminals. He hated the guys from his own planet. He didn't want them to be part of his legion. He hated them. Literally just wanted them all dead. So, and then they specifically get criminals to become more Nightlords. So it's like Batman, but the opposite of Batman, and now he's more like, it's like evil Batman. Batman who laughs, and then his old Robins that are all just out of their mind. But detailing how they had, taken the lights, the heat, and then they ended up kind of creating a funnel that all the people, the little apes is what he was saying, get funneled into and then gunned down. It's like sadistic how happy he is uh, while he's talking about this. This is like freaky because they hunt in darkness. That's what they do. So you're never going to see them coming until you start seeing bolter flashes as they're mowing people down. Wow.
Oh, fleeing their sinking homes, so they push their fellow ape things forward into the boom splat. Fountains all, I startle, titter. I must watch my candidates. One has stopped. He has a darkening patch around his groin as he pushes his way through the crowd in panic. He seems like he might be a boo-hoo-hooer, like our father Curze. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo.
Whoa, like our father. He peed himself. And now he's a boo-hoo-hooer like our father Curze. Wow. Wow. This guy's talking crap about Konrad.
Boring.
Boring.
Oh, the other. He breaks from the herd. He runs. But he is looking up, down, around. He is searching. I like him. Aware of the threat from all angles. His instincts are strong. I like him. I must know him. I must make him my friend. Yes, it will be him. I follow him. He is fast, he is fit. He takes care of himself. Good, good. With a grenade here, Bolcher there. I change his course, his direction. Always he is fast to react, always without hesitation. I have chosen well. I guide him to where I can play. Into an old warehouse. None are there now. I made sure of that. I chose this spot. No, none will know where I am here. I can play without interruption. I am there. When he comes in through the door, I left it open. He runs inside. He immediately hides. Good, good. He controls his urge to keep running. Not exhausted, but intelligent. One can hear running. He is clever. I start the fun. I walk slowly but heavily, my footfalls resounding on the metal grids. I can hear him. His breath stops. He can definitely hear me. But he does not panic. Oh, he does not hold his breath and just stay in situ and close his eyes, as the little ones do. He starts to reposition. Well done. Oh, what fun. He finds the weapons I placed there. He reaches up and delicately, and so slowly, takes one of the stubbers, so quietly. Impressive. I have chosen well. I descend the stairs dramatically and heavily. He knows where I am, I'm sure. I can see him in the dark, but he cannot see me well. So I take a few more steps, more, and move into the light so he can have his opportunity. I look around slowly. He must think I wish seclusion. I am checking that I am alone.
This is straight up sadistic. Whoa. He's like, okay, so he's like a serial killer hunting his victim. He planted a trap. He even left him weapons to fight back. He's making sure nobody else is there. No one's around. Whoa, this is crazy. I like this. Baldermort, you're doing a fantastic job. Whoa.
Reach up and slowly take off my helmet, brush my hand over my head, and take in a deep breath and exhale slowly, like a tired ape thing after a long day. At peace, vulnerable. He has not done it. Oh. I turn my back, giving him that little nudgy nudge. He can still see my head. Oh, and it is so vulnerable. The stubbers have scopes. How much more of an invitation do I need to give him? Ah! A piercing pain snaps the back of my head as the clamour of a single discharge echoes around the warehouse. I try not to giggle as I slowly fall onto my knees and then forward to the ground. There is blood, for certain. I can feel it trickle down my neck, then across my head and into my face as I lay there dead. Of course, the stubber was strong enough to break skin, but not to pierce my skull. I am not an idiot. So much blood. Head wounds. He buys into the fun. He finally lets out a slow and steady exhale of breath. He is controlled for an ape thing. I chose well. Brave. He comes to inspect the body to make certain. He stands above me for a moment. He is weighing up the risk of shooting again. The sound could attract my boys, but he so wants to make sure I am dead. It is then that I simply cannot control myself. I wish I had been able to draw this out, but I start. I roll over, tears coming out of my eyes from the mirth. I hope he tries to shoot me again, tries to execute me. So much fun! Oh! I have to roll forward and snatch the gun from his grasp as he puts it in his mouth. Thankfully, I'm in time. Clever. He nearly ruined all of my work. He is a wily one. I've chosen well. So I flick his temple and knock him out. Yes. He wakes on the lovely board I have prepared for him. His eyes stay closed at first. He does not wish to look. But unlike so many, he then opens them wide as a challenge. He snaps them open. He knows what he will see. This one is clever. His face does not change its expression of anger or hate. He knows. I speak to him. You are impressive, my friend. 1 in a million. I feel you could have been a commissar. Had your history been different, your birth, your station. I want so much to know you, inside and out.
Holy shit. So sorry. Oh. I'm actually getting anxiety from this. It's like Baldermort's doing such a great job, acting this out. It's a lot. It's scary. Think about this guy. 8 foot tall, superhuman, whatever, just flicks you in the temple. You try to stop this from happening by just, and nope. He flicks you in the head, knocks you out, and all it takes is a flick. Just think about that for a second. In the temple, flick. How strong he has to be. And then this sadistic Space Marine is just sitting there enjoying this, loving this. I mean, look at the face on the screen. Oh, the Nightlords are so creepy. They're so creepy. But I love them. It's like, think about it. I like it because they're not so tainted by chaos that they're not, because they don't really want that, right? But they're just so awful and disturbing, disgusting, all those things, that they just love this kind of stuff. It's being from a murderous planet and all that jazz. They're just so messed up. Let's keep going.
He hawks and spits at me. I am right. He had such potential. He will be an honor to know. And it was. He lasted so long. No boo-hoo-hoo, no. Screaming, of course, especially with the nerve augmenters I shared with him. He had to feel everything. It was the least I could do for a friend in the last hours, to be truly alive and experiencing everything to its fullest. You see, I am a good friend. Even when I showed him his spleen, no boo-hoo.
You're not a good friend.
Even when we both looked at his genitalia up close. Even when I showed him his still beating heart. I honor him. I do not leave him as a wormy, zipped up and floppy flop on the floor in the dark, no arms or legs. He is better than this. He was a good friend. My boys have finished playing and now level the hub blocks left over. I allow my friend to see the vids that prove he is the last member of his hive to go, an honor he has deserved. I then finish him. He looked like he would betray himself and begin to boo. I save him from that. He was a worthy ape thing to know. Welcome, gentle listener. I apologize for the severity of this introduction, but there can be times when the threat, the terror, the horror of an enemy can be denuded by being too distant, too hypothetical. I felt it was necessary to show, rather than tell, the true threat of this, one of the most dark and terrible groups of beings in the entire grim darkness of the future. For today, we will now go into a very brief introduction to the 8th Legion of the Legiones Astartes, the Nightlords.
Holy crap, that was amazing. He did a great job at just showcasing how disgusting these guys are and how evil and just sadistic. Oh. Bauldermort, that was a hell of a way to open a video. That was a fantastic way to open a video. Holy shit.
Please remember that this is an introduction only. Should there be the appetite, I will engage in further entries for this, one of the most terrible forces to stalk the galaxy. For they have been set loose by the opening of the Cicatrix Maledictum. The 13th Black Crusade smashed the bottleneck of Cadia and opened that rent across the entire galaxy. Now they can go back and forth with ease, foraying into the material realm, then retreating back to the warp at a whim. The Warhammer 40k setting has become a thing of even more grim darkness than ever before. To quote, "My sons, the galaxy is burning. We all bear witness to a final truth. Our way is not the way of the Imperium. We have never stood in the Emperor's light, never worn the Imperial Eagle, and you never will. You shall stand in midnight clad, your claws forever red, with the lifeblood of my father's failed empire, warring through the centuries as the talons of a murdered god. Rise, my sons, and take your wrath across the stars in my name, in my memory. Rise, my Nightlords." End quote.
Wow.
Konrad Curze, Primarch of the 8th Legion of the Legiones Astartes, the Nightlords. Truer words have very seldom been said in all of the grim dark, for the 8th Legion were not akin to any of their brother Astartes. Where they had shining armor and a bold image of their own worthiness and righteousness, the 8th were under no such illusions, even from their inception on Holy Terror. For when the Emperor of Mankind designed his 20 Primarchs, from which his 20 legions of Space Marines would spring, he calculated all of the facets and forces he would require. His intent was to form the perfect army, the perfect warriors, the perfect tool for him to not only take every star and system of the Milky Way galaxy, but also to then hold them. For this he would need many tools, for each of his Primarchs was to be a mighty general with the most formidable force the human race has ever produced, the Space Marines. Each legion of Astartes, Space Marines, was to have a very specific role. Indeed, each would be able to wage war the likes had never been seen, but each would also have a niche, a specialization. Many were shining knights of honor and power, designed to represent the greatness and goodness that resided in the breast of humanity. They were to be paragons and glorious examples that could be displayed to all of the universe as the best of what it was to be human. Not so for the Nightlords. For every organization, every government, every military need have those who will follow orders, will do unspeakable things without complaint or resistance. Forces that will elicit terror in their enemies and allies alike. For the Emperor knew that his race was fractious, and that the combined goal that they worked toward would not be enough for many.
Yeah, so the Nightlords pretty much became shock troops. The shock and awe go in there, just, completely wreck a place and create so much havoc that it's just, it's easier to take over, especially with fear and just craziness. It's unbelievable how nasty these guys actually became. And I know Curze, just being him, born on this planet hated the people that he ruled over because they were all criminals, evil, but yeah.
He knew that it was inevitable that some of his fellow humans would become greedy, would lose purpose, would seek to aggrandize themselves at the first opportunity. The master of mankind, who had witnessed every age of humanity from their earliest forays into civilization all the way through the golden age of technology and even through the calamity of old night, the age of strife, with humanity almost gutted out. He knew his race. He knew that many would simply bend the knee while his armies were present, only to renege on their oaths of fealty the instant he had departed. So, being the shepherd of all of humanity, he knew that he needed to have a deterrent. He needed to have a healthy respect from all of those worlds brought into compliance, but also a very necessary fear. Only in this way could he be guaranteed that one most elusive of all things, unity through loyalty. Humanity simply had no choice in his mind, or he would not have arisen, would not have thrown off his cloak of secrecy and taken the reins of direct power and leadership. Humanity had to be unified or would be wiped out from his perspective, one that was very hard to argue with considering the horrors of the Age of Strife, where Xenos, aliens, and demons had dominated and annihilated so many of our race. Hence, not all of his Primarchs, not all of his legions of Space Marines could be the examples of virtue that was allotted to many.
Wow. So yeah, he had already envisioned, I think, some of this stuff. The Nightlords being what they needed to be. It's like, it's very, like, that's a Batman type of thing. I'm going to bringing him up quite a bit. That's a Batman type of thing. I'm the hero that the city needs. I think that's a quote from that, right? Or it was a villain or something. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've watched Batman. So it seems like he knew that this was going to be happening. He was going to need these guys in order to, keep the peace, keep people in line. And then Konrad being just out of his mind, it helped quite a bit. I want to point out how amazing their armor looks. I really, really like the bat wings all over and everything looking, the way it does. The skulls. The faces are a little much like stapled to their plate, but I mean, it is what it is, right?
He needed a tool of fear, a bringer of terror. He needed a force that would be used to scare his people into staying compliant, to staying loyal. He had his Nightlords. The Primarchs were stolen by the powers of chaos and spread throughout the galaxy, but still the legions had character, and were employed without their fathers, the Primarchs, to lead them. The VIIIth, the Nightlords, were recruited from the most brutal prisons and pits of despair in all of Holy Terra, the present name of Earth, the cradle of humanity where the Emperor began his empire, his Imperium. They were scum. They would blanch at no activity, would bring a level of ferocity and sadism to their campaigns that would act as a deterrent forever after. When the Emperor had dominated all of Terra during the long and bloody Unification Wars, his instinct was proven right. Almost immediately, one of his defeated allies, the Saragorn Enclave, turned and rebelled. They continued to tinker with genetic engineering, were attempting psi-breeding, eugenics to attempt to create powerful psychers, a practice utterly banned by the diktat of the Emperor. The Master of Mankind was informed, and is reputed to have said just 3 words. Just 3. Send the 8th. The 8th Legion were deployed and assaulted the Enclave, but they did not roll in with tanks and overwhelming firepower alone, as other legions would. They made a bloody horror of the entire region. They hunted and tortured each and every person there. They wiped the entire population away with a viciousness that was beyond belief. With this as an example of exactly what would happen if any rebelled, Terra stayed loyal. All of it. This was the way of the Nightlords. Fear. to act in such terrible and sadistic ways that entire star systems would then surrender to them when they had witnessed their savagery. It was true that any rebellion throughout the stars was almost instantly quashed by the mere mention of their name. Many a governor would toy with the idea of declaring his world independent of the Imperium, as humans are so oft willing to forget their own history so swiftly.
Wow, just imagine that. Thinking about, like, hey, you know what, maybe we should just break off from the Imperium. And then somebody says, oh, the Nightlords are here. You had a thought that wasn't a great thought, and now the Nightlords are here, and things are not going good. We can't stop them. We can't win, and they're like everywhere. There's even a guy behind you. Oh my gosh, these guys are like, the fear aspect of them doing what they do is a very necessary thing for the Imperium. The Emperor was right. So I had a question and a thought. So the Emperor can kind of see into the future, and from what I like gather about this, he has like premonitions about, how things are going to go, how, he knew somebody was going to turn traitor to him. Did he know where some of his sons were going to end up when they were like sent out and he had to find them again? Because if so, I mean, he kind of already preordained some of these people to be like Konrad. He already knew he was going to be nuts. It's a thought that I had and have been having about, how the Emperor works. I don't really know. I know he's very powerful. He's a psyker. He can kind of see future, past, present, whatever. Um, and he's been around forever. So you would think that he would have some sort of idea as to where his sons were going to go. At least, I don't know. Maybe I'm off base on that. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think about that.
The scars dealt to them during their domination and compliance would often lose their sting over a mere generation, but the threat of their eighth would dispel their errant dreams very swiftly. The mention of them alone was enough to loose the bowels of most.
Yeah.
So even before they eventually turned to evil, theirs was never a force that could ever...
The Nightlords, as soon as you hear their name, you're going to poop yourself.
would be described as good. Such a thing exists in the grim darkness of the future. When they were reunited with their Primarch, Konrad Curze, they changed very little. When some legions found their Primarchs, it was either a magnificent time where they were enhanced and saved by their sire, as in the case of the Blood Angels and Sanguinius, or it was a time of change, as in the case of the Death Guard. But few legions were left without some form of transformation when their genetic father and spiritual leader, their Primarch, was discovered. But this was not so for the Nightlords. Curze's world was not a place that would ever engender a good man to arise from it. Despite Konrad being genetically predisposed to try to seek for justice, for law and order at every point, his methods were twisted by his early years on the world of Nostromo. For it was a cesspit of lawlessness, a horror of a world where survival of the fittest was the only law, and murder, rape, and massacre were nightly events. They were, until Konrad subjugated the world through fear alone. But this is a tale for another time, when we can discuss the tale of Konrad Curze in full. It was the habit of the Emperor to gift the world of that a Primarch had grown up on, had usually dominated, as Konrad had Nostromo, as a recruitment world for their legion. As such, the Eighth's recruits were from that world and had a part of its darkness. Later, Nostromo was to only give reinforcements from the worst and most vile of all of its denizens. The Nightlords started badly, but would get progressively worse as time went on, as each and every Marine was a travesty of a thing that could barely be called human, and it was even before they were trained and used by the Nightlords to perform their reigns of terror. For the Nightlords would take...
Just think about that for a second. You got the worst of the worst humans, and you're going to turn them into super soldiers and train them to be killers and all sorts of horrible... They're going to do bad things. this was going to end badly, no matter what. This all started as a thing, and then it became like this horrible, horrible thing. And it got worse. And then when they didn't, yeah, it's all bad. That was a bad idea.
Pride in their work, but their goals were not the same as their Primarch. For Konrad thought that the ends justified the means. The horrific butchery of one city, not just the callous extermination, but the torture of his entire population over an extended period while being broadcast to all surrounding areas, would then lead to the entire world surrendering out of fear. In this, Konrad could very realistically state that his tactics and strategies did not affect infrastructure and would mean a tiny proportion of the casualties that would have been created if another legion had invaded honorably. And he was right. But the fact remained that his legion did not have his ideal at their fore. Their eye was never on the ends, just the means. They did it because they could butcher and torture indiscriminately. They did it because they enjoyed it. And so Konrad eventually ended hating his own legion, something he was never shy of letting them know either. He went mad. His legion was declared rogue even before the drop site massacre on Istvan V, but was still ordered to act in that assault, one which would turn out to be an utter betrayal, as the Nightlords turned traitor and helped massacre the 3 loyalist legions of the first wave. But I will go into the massacre at Istvan in more detail in the future. With the Horus heresy now in full swing, Konrad did not so much follow Horus, but rebel against his father, an act of spite, perhaps, for the poisoned chalice that was passed to him by the Emperor of Mankind, to be built to strive for justice, but to lead a legion he despised, to perpetually perform actions he could never actually forgive himself for having ordered performed. But the Nightlords have never really gone fully into the fold of the other legions that began the wholesale and emphatic worship of chaos. Although there are some faithful amongst the legion, theirs is not a religious crusade. For them, following Abaddon on the path of chaos is not about zeal or serving their new dark gods. It is simply that they can now do whatever they wish, to whomever they wish.
Yeah. So they don't really like the gods or care about the gods. They just want to spread terror and fear throughout every single planet they touch. There's nothing, there's no reason or the rhyme or reason to this thing. It's just, we just want to have our fun, like the guy in the beginning. We do not care for all of your crap. We don't want it. We don't need it. We don't even want your blessings from the Chaos Gods. We don't want to go full Nurgle, worshiper like Mortarion. Or the world leaders with Karn or Korn, or I think it's Karn. That's just, or Korn. It is Korn. Sorry, I had a minute there. We don't really need to do any of that. Emperor's Children with Slanesh doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We don't care. We just want to have fun. Oh my god. Yeah, let's just keep going.
The Chaos Gods leave them be.
And then
Konrad was slain, despite being one of the most powerful combatants of all of the sons of the Emperor, but he let his legion know he despised them before the deed was done, a deed he even permitted. Since that time, the Nightlords have been a thing of terror, not for, but against the Imperium of Man. The true levels of their viciousness I hope you gained from my introduction, but I shall one day go more into their tactics and more of their history. For the time being, I hope, gentle listener, that you can see why the forces of chaos are feared, and why the Imperium is the way it is. In the face of enemies such as the Nightlords, perpetually a threat, perpetually just one slip away from penetrating your defenses and letting their evil loose on any sector, one can do nothing but become a thing of tyranny to prevent the greater evil. And at least, this is their argument. For the Nightlords are the thing that comes in the night. They are the lords of sadism and fear. They are the lords of the night. And the opening of the Cicatrix Maledictum means that they can go near anywhere, at any time, Nowhere is now safe from their predations. The beast, as they say, is well and truly abroad.
Good Lord.
I have been Bauldermort, your faithful servant. I hope my introduction to the Nightlords has been enlightening, no
Oh, Baldermort. Well, let's just...
matter how unpleasant. If so, then please do consider liking and subscribing.
Yes.
If you are a regular
yes.
gentle listener,
Please go like and subscribe to Baldermort if you are not already. He is awesome. All right, let's go up for final thoughts here. Okay, so that was the Nightlords lore by Baldermort. Wow, that was amazing. That was so good, Baldermort. If you see this, I love this. I love your videos. I love your voice. You do an amazing job acting stuff out. That was fantastic. We're gonna have to look at more of his content. It was great. The Night Lord, that was scary, freaky. Just listening to that beginning, that opening, where he's just like going off the rails on where they want to be friends with this guy. Friends. It's just that was amazing. That was amazing. The Night Lords are messed up. Still one of my favorite factions just because of how messed up they are. there's no getting around it. They're just sadistic and weird, and even their Primarch was the same way. That was awesome. Baldermort, bravo, sir, bravo. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like. Baldermort's video will be linked in the description below. Have a great day. There's going to be a couple of recommendations up here for you if you want to check those out. Peace.